So, the Weepy voiced killer was a serial killer who would kill people and then make these phone calls to police, crying, whining, telling them where they could find the bodies, and then talking about like how sorry he was. And the Weepy voice killer is a man named Paul Stefani. He was born on September 8th, 1944 in Austin, Minnesota. He was the second of 10 children. There isn't a ton of information on his biological father, but when he was 3 years old, his mother remarried, and his stepfather was an extremely abusive man. He was abusive to all of the children. The family was very religious, like deeply, very religious Catholic family. Paul would marry a woman named Beverly Linder, and together they had a daughter, but they divorced early on, and he just left his wife and daughter and never had anything to do with them again. So that's a little backstory on the Weepy voiced killer. It's interesting. This is a serial killer who there isn't a lot of information on. There's just, I guess nobody has ever compiled it. So, our story really begins on New Year's Eve, 1980. 20-year-old Karen Podak, a college student at Stevens Point University, was out with some friends, and her sister was with them as well. They were just celebrating the new year. They were going to bars, dancing, drinking, just doing New Year's stuff. At some point, Karen left the bar, and I could never find why she left the bar. I don't think anyone knows why. Her friends and her sister didn't even realize she had gone. So she walks out of the bar all alone, no coat, still holding a glass of champagne. She's obviously drunk. This is Minnesota. The temperatures are freezing. There's snow on the ground. It's a cold night. But she wanders outside alone. She was stumbling down the street, and this is like a main street. It's a holiday, so there were a lot of people out and about. But she ends up turning and walking down a dark alley. And a man pulls up and offers to give her a ride. And she's feeling cold now, so she gets into his car. And this is the last time she's seen by her friends that night. At 3 a.m. the next morning, so actually like 3 hours later, police receive a phone call. And I will post the actual calls over on Patreon, but I don't want to add them here to disrupt the ASMR flow, so I'm just going to tell you what the caller said. The caller says, "Yes, please, this is an emergency. Please send a squad to Pierce Butler Road, the Momberg Manufacturing Company machine shop. Please send an ambulance too. There is a girl hurt there." was actually exposed, but miraculously, she was still alive. She actually would not have been found alive had this call not come in because the machine shop was closed. There was no one around, and if they would have waited until, the next business day, she wouldn't have made it. Like, her body would have just been found dead. So Karen was rushed to the hospital. She underwent surgery, and they were able to save her life. Karen had suffered severe head trauma and had irreversible brain damage, but she lived. Karen had no memory of the attack. So, police began investigating the attack on Karen, but they really had nothing to go on. No one saw anything. She obviously had no memory of the attack, so she couldn't describe the man who tried to kill her. The only thing police had was the phone call, so they weren't really able to make much headway in the case. Then, on June 3rd, 1981, 18-year-old Kimberly Compton, who had just graduated from school in Wisconsin, was ready to leave her little town behind. Kimberly had lived in the same teeny tiny town her whole life. It was called Pepin, Wisconsin, and the population was 837 people at the 2010 census. So back in the 80s, there were probably like 500 people or less. So tiny, tiny town. She was excited to be graduating because she wanted out of the town. She wanted to move to a big city and have basically just a more exciting life. Kimberly had this idea that, like, living in the big city would be, she had really romanticized it. So she decided to move to St. Paul. She packed up her stuff, she got on a Greyhound bus, and she headed for St. Paul. When she arrived, she put her bags in a bus station locker 750, and she goes looking for food. She's hungry. She finds this little diner near the bus station, and she goes in. She orders the special, and she begins eating. A few tables away from Kimberly was a man also eating alone, and he walks over and begins talking to her, and he ends up sitting and eating with Kimberly. She tells the man how she is literally right off the bus, brand new to St. Paul, and she can't wait to, learn about the city. And the man tells her that he would love to show her around. So they finish eating, and the two are seen leaving the diner together. This would be the last time Kimberly Compton was ever seen alive. A few hours later, some teen boys would come across a body in a very secluded, wooded area. The body was a female. She was found lying face down, and she had multiple stab wounds to her chest. It was determined that the weapon that had caused these wounds was an ice pick, and she had been stabbed 61 times. She had also been strangled with a shoelace, although her cause of death was the stab wounds. The woman had no ID on her. Remember, she had put all of her stuff in the locker at the bus station. autopsy, the medical examiner found a key to a locker at the bus station in her pocket, and they were eventually able to trace the key to the bus station, and they got a warrant for locker 750, and this was when they were able to positively identify their victim as Kimberly Compton because her ID was inside. As part of her autopsy, they looked through her stomach contents and they knew that she had a lot of undigested food in her stomach, meaning she had eaten right before she died. The medical examiner was able to determine that she had eaten barbecue beef and fries. And with this information, police were able to trace her last meal back to Mickey's Diner because this was the special that day. So they went to the diner, they interviewed anyone who had worked the night that she was killed, and several witnesses were able to tell police that Kimberly had in fact been in the diner. She sat alone, but was then joined by a man. They had even overheard the conversation between the two of them, which is how we know he offered to show her around town. They were able to give police a rough description of the man, but not super detailed. Later that night, dispatch got a call once again from the Weepy voiced killer, pleading, and I quote, "God damn, will you find me? I just stabbed someone with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody." And then he hung up. 2 days later, he once again called police to basically apologize for killing Kimberly Compton, and he mentions her by name in this call. And he says he's sorry, but he can't go to jail because if he goes to jail, he will kill himself. He also says, quote, "This is all a big dream," which is a very weird thing to say. He didn't say this is a nightmare. He said this is a dream. Once police had the Weepy voice killer's confession to yet another murder, they were quickly able to link the attack or the attempted murder of Karen Poltek to the murder of Kimberly Compton. Investigators decided that they were going to release the audio from the 911 calls to see if anyone recognized the voice. And hundreds of tips flooded in from the public. Every single tip was followed up on, and every single one of them ended up being a dead end. 2 months would go by, and then a man named Alan Lopez found himself in a very bad situation that he created. He was holding his family hostage after killing his parents and his sister. Police are outside the home and they are trying to talk him down to get him out of the home safely. And at some point during the exchange with the police, he admits to being the Weepy voice killer. He was eventually brought out of the home safely and arrested. He was charged with the murders of his family and was being held in a mental health facility awaiting trial. And so investigators who were working on the Weepy voice killer cases were told about this confession, and so they go to this mental health facility to talk to him. But sadly, he ended his life before police the files so they could connect the Weepy killer to Alan Lopez and close all of the cases. At this point, police really believed he was the Weepy voice killer. But when they began looking into it, they realized Alan Lopez had been a patient at a mental health facility on the day that Kimberly Compton was murdered. So they're like, well, he couldn't have been the Weepy voice killer. But then they find out he had a day pass on that day, and he had in fact left the facility. So then they start looking into Karen's attack, trying to link him to that, or at least see if he could have done it. But he had been incarcerated on the night of Karen's attack. So they know whoever tried to kill Karen had killed Kimberly, and that Alan Lopez could not have attacked Karen. He was in jail. So they were able to rule him out as their killer. On August 6th, 1982, a 40-year-old woman named Barbara Simmons was at a bar in Minneapolis called the Hexagon Bar. Witnesses saw her dancing and talking with a man. She even told the bartender at one point, "He's cute. I hope this guy's okay because I need a ride home." The bartender was worried enough by this comment that she made sure to get a good look at the man that this woman was leaving with. He appeared to be around 40 years old, 200 pounds, and 6 feet tall. He had black hair and a mustache. Many people at the bar saw Barbara leaving with this man. She was never seen again. Another call would come into police from the Weepy voice killer. And these calls, again, I'll post them on Patreon. They're really hard to understand because the voice is so high-pitched and so whiny. In this call, he said, quote, "Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton. The first one over in St. Paul. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sick. I'm going to kill myself, I think." And the dispatcher says, "Where are you?" And he says, "I'm just going to. If someone dies with a red shirt on, it's me. I've killed more people. I'll never make it to heaven at this point." And he's so whiny that the dispatcher tells him to calm down. In this call, though, he doesn't say where the next body can be found. However, Barbara's body was found the next day. She had been beaten and stabbed over 100 times with a screwdriver or an ice pick. She was thrown into the Mississippi River and her body had washed up, and that's how it was found. Police had then tracked Barbara's last loses the police officers who are supposed to be tailing him. He goes to Minneapolis and he picks up a 19-year-old sex worker named Denise Williams. He brought her back to his apartment, and after they engaged in sex, he said he would take her back to the place where he picked her up. So they start driving, and she begins freaking out because he's driving in the wrong direction. And he was also talking about some pretty sick sexual fantasies, and she was feeling very uncomfortable. So he drove down this dark road, and she's like, "Where are you taking me? Where are you taking me?" She starts looking around, trying to figure out how she's going to get herself out of this situation, and she takes note of a glass bottle on the floor of the car. Then Paul pulls over and he turns the car off. He tries to grab her hand and she tries to get out of the car, but before she can, he grabs a screwdriver and begins stabbing her in the stomach with it. She's able to get the bottle off the floor and she smashes it over his head, and he begins bleeding everywhere. If you've ever had a head wound, or your child's had a head wound, or you've seen one, like, you just bleed and bleed and bleed. There is so much blood in this car. And his voice changes at this point, and he starts talking in a very high-pitched, whiny voice. And he says, quote, "You are just like the rest of all of these broads." She would later say all she could see was blood. She's able to get out of the car, and he's still stabbing her in the stomach with a screwdriver. And he also falls out of the car, as she does, just still stabbing her. And she is screaming at the top of her lungs. And this is where Paul realizes he's made a mistake, because, well, the street he's pulled over on seems dark and abandoned. It's not. The houses are just set really far back from the road. So there are people in these houses. So they begin hearing the screaming. Now, she decides to just pretend she's dead, thinking he would stop stabbing her if he thought she was dead. So she screams, "I'm dying, I'm dying," and then she just pretends she's dead. But he just keeps stabbing her. Luckily, in a nearby house, the window is open and a man named Doug Panning can hear the screams. So he runs outside and he sees this man stabbing this woman, and he runs over to help. He grabs Paul and tries to make him stop, but Paul goes after him with the screwdriver. So he runs away. He runs back to his house and he calls 911. After Doug takes off, Paul, I'm guessing, realizes law enforcement is going to be on their way very soon. And he probably also thinks that he has killed Denise, so he takes off. Doug sees him leave and runs back out and helps Denise and stays with her till paramedics arrive. Denise had stab wounds to her lower right chest, upper right abdomen, and the right side of her head. Her liver and one of her lungs had also been punctured. She had been stabbed 15 times. She was rushed into surgery and she did survive the attack. That night, another call would come into police. And this time he calls 911 not to tell them where is at the hospital and she was shown a photo lineup. She immediately picks out Paul Stefani. He was arrested at the hospital and he was charged with attempted murder. Paul was taken to the police station, and while police were interrogating him, they placed pictures of his victims in front of him to try to rattle him. And he just got super, super upset. He gets up and he says to police, "You aren't going to pin those on me." But when he said this, he switched to like his super high-pitched, whiny voice that sounded exactly like the Weepy voice killer. Like, this is how his voice changes when he gets upset. So they end up charging him with a barbarous murder as well. But the attempted murder of Karen and Kimberly Compton's murder happened in St. Paul. So St. Paul police needed to get on board and put together their own case and charge him there. But they didn't have a lot of evidence. It didn't look like they had enough to be able to charge him with that murder and that attempted murder. An expert was brought in to listen to all of the 911 calls, and the expert said that they were all very similar, but that they couldn't say for sure if it was the same caller. The trial began in February of 1985. Paul Stefani pled not guilty to all of the charges. Now his ex-wife, his sister, and his roommate were all brought in and asked to listen to the calls to see if they recognized the voice, on the stand. And his sister said, "This is without a doubt my brother." Paul Stefani was found guilty of attempted murder and second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 58 years in prison. The St. Paul police never brought charges against the Weepy voice killer. He went to prison, and then in 1997 he was diagnosed with terminal skin cancer, and he was given 1 year to live. After this diagnosis, he asked to speak with the St. Paul police, and he said he would sit down and talk to them and give them some information, but in return he wanted a photo of his mother's headstone, on her grave. Then Paul confessed to killing Karen. He said he just wanted to take her around and show her the town, just be her friend, but something in his mind snapped. He also tells them he had killed someone in between when he had killed Kimberly Compton and when he had killed Barbara. And he didn't know who she was, but he had drowned her in her bathtub in her apartment. So police would look into this and they would match this murder with the murder of a woman named Kathleen Greening, who was 31 years old. So, when Kathleen had been found, her estranged husband was thought to be involved in the case. It wasn't ruled homicide. It was considered suspicious, but police could never tie the husband to it, so they ended up classifying it as an accident. But what had happened was her and her friend were getting ready to go on this vacation together, so her friend comes to pick her up the day of the trip, and Kathleen wasn't answering her door. So she tries the doorknob and it's unlocked, which is it's time to kill. Then he would go to church after each murder and cry because his mom always told him that if something hurts you, you should go to God. Shortly after these confessions, Paul died on June 12th, 1998 of skin cancer while he was still behind bars. And this is the story of the Weepy-voiced killer